Features of Indian Constitution. The beginning of the 20th century, the Indian national movement had been active in the struggle for the independence from British rule for several decades. British rule से from 1757 to 1947, the many movements were taken place, and during the freedom struggle, the nationalists had devoted a great deal of time to imagine एंड प्लानिंग व्हाट अ फ्री इंडिया वुड बी लाइक. जो हमारे लीडर्स थे, नेशनलिस्ट जो थे, उन्होंने अपने वो डेवोटी थे इस कल्पना में और इस योजना में कि भारत जब आज़ाद होगा तो किस तरीके का होगा. अंडर द ब्रिटिश दे हैड बीन फोर्स टू ओबे रूल्स दैट दे हैड वेरी लिटिल रोल इन मेकिंग. Key features of the Indian Constitution. There was an extraordinary sense of unity amongst the members of the Constituent Assembly. सबसे बड़ी बात थी कि extraordinary sense था उस Constituent Assembly के जितने भी सदस्य थे उनमें. Each of the provisions of the future Constitution was discussed in the great detail, and there was a sincere effort to compromise and reach an agreement through consensus. The above photo shows Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, a prominent member of the Constituent Assembly. Key features of Indian Constitution. Constitution of India. The Baba Sahib Dr. Ambedkar is known as the father of the Indian Constitution. Dr. Ambedkar believed that his participation in the Constituent Assembly helped the scheduled caste get some safeguards in the draft constitution, but he also stated that although the laws might exist, scheduled caste still had reason to fear because the administration of these laws were in the hands of the castle Hindu officials. Caste Hindu officers. He therefore urged scheduled caste to join the government as well as the civil services. देखिए, बाबा साहब अम्बेडकर को ऐसा लगा था, उनका ऐसा मानना था कि भले ही कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में इसका प्रोविज़न हो जाए, पर जो शेड्यूल कास्ट है उसके साथ जो हिंदू ऑफिसर, अपर कास्ट के जो ऑफिसर्स हैं वो बिल्कुल सही तरीके से बिहेव नहीं करेंगे. तो उन्होंने ये अपील की शेड्यूल कास्ट के लोगों से कि वो गवर्नमेंट को ज्वाइन करें और सिविल सर्विसेज ज्वाइन करें. की फीचर्स ऑफ द इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन. फेडरलिज्म. This refers to the existence of the more than one level of government in the country. Federalism का means है federal form of the government, means there is the tier of the government at the different level. Means India has a 3 tier of government: union or central government, supremacy power, state government at the state level, okay, under the union government, and the local government at the panchayat level. Okay, that is the 3 tier of government. That's why the federalism adopted by the Indian Constitution. In India, we have governments at the state level and at the center. Panchayati Raj is the 3rd tier of the government. The vast number of the communities in India mean that a system of the government needed to be devised that did not involve only persons sitting in the capital city of New Delhi and making decisions for everyone. उनका ये मानना था कि इसको डिसेंट्रलाइजेशन सिस्टम हो गया, सिर्फ दिल्ली में बैठे लोग ही डिसीजन नहीं ले, उसमें हर एक का पार्टिसिपेशन जरूरी है, चाहे वो इस तरीके से हो, रिप्रेजेंटेटिव वे में. इंस्टीड इट वाज इम्पोर्टेंट टू हैव अनदर लेवल ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट इन द स्टेट्स सो दैट डिसीजंस कुड बी मेड फॉर द पर्टिकुलर एरिया व्हाइल ईच स्टेट इन इंडिया enjoys autonomy in exercising powers of the certain issues subject of the national concern require that all of these states follow the laws of the central government. Key features of the Indian Constitution. The second parliamentary form of the government. The different tiers of the government that you just read about consist of the representative who are elected by the people. The Constitution of India guaranteed universal adult suffrage or the franchise for all citizens. When they were making the Constitution, the member of the Constituent Assembly felt that the freedom struggle had prepared the masses of the universal adult suffrage, and that this would help encourage a democratic mindset and break the clutches of the traditional caste, class and gender hierarchies. Okay, this means that the people of the India have a direct role in the electing their representative. Also, every citizen of the country, irrespective of his her social background, can also contest in elections. These representatives are accountable to the people. Key features of the Indian Constitution. Third point, the separation of the powers. According to the Constitution, there are the three organs of the government. These are the legislature for the making of laws and amendment of the laws, the executive, the which execution of the laws which are formed by or amendment by the legislature, and the judiciary. The function of the judiciary is dispensing of justice. The legislature refer to our elected representative. The executive is a smaller group of the people who are responsible for the implementing laws and the running the government. The judiciary, of which you will read more in the unit 3rd of this book, refers to the system of the courts in this country. In order to prevent the misuse of the power by any one branch of the government, the Constitution says that each of these organs should exercise different powers through this. Each organ acts as a check on the other organs of the government, and this ensures the balance of the power between all three. Key features of the Indian Constitution. For fundamental rights, the section of the fundamental rights has often been referred to as the conscience of the Indian Constitution. ये आत्मा है, सोल है इंडियन कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की. Colonial rule had created a certain suspicion of the state in the minds of the nationalists, and they wanted to ensure that a set of the written rights would guard against the misuse of the state power in the independent India. Fundamental rights, therefore, protect citizens against the arbitrary and the absolute exercise of power by the state. The Constitution thus guarantee the rights of the individuals against the state as well as against other individuals. Key features of the Indian Constitution. Moreover, the various minority communities also express the need for the Constitution to include rights that would protect their groups. The Constitution therefore also guarantees the rights of the minorities. उन्होंने मेजॉरिटी को जो गारंटी दी है वही माइनॉरिटी को भी दी है. As Dr. Ambedkar has said about this fundamental rights, their object is twofold. The first objective is that every citizen must be in a position of claim those rights. हर सिटीजन, सारे नागरिक को यह अधिकार है. And secondly, these rights must be binding upon every authority that has got the power to make laws. The fundamental rights of Indian Constitution. First, the right to equality. All persons are equal before the law. This means that all persons shall be equally protected by the laws of the country. It also states that no citizen can discriminate against on the basis of their religion, caste or sex. Every person has access to all public places including playgrounds, hotels, shops, etc. The state cannot discriminate against anyone in matters of the employment, but there are the exceptions to this that you will read about later in this book. The practice of the untouchability has also been abolished. The fundamental rights of the Indian Constitution. Second, the right to freedom. This includes the right to freedom of the speech and expression, the right to form association, the right to move freely and reside in any part of the country, and the right to practice any profession, occupation or business, right against exploitation. The Constitution prohibits human trafficking, forced labor and the employment of the children under 14 years of age. The fundamental rights of the Indian Constitution. The fourth, the right to freedom of the religion. Religious freedom is secularism. Religious freedom is provided to all citizens. Every person has the right to practice, profess and propagate the religions of their choice. Cultural and the educational rights. The Constitution states that all the minorities, religious or the linguistic, can set up their own educational institution in order to preserve and develop their own culture. Fundamental rights of the Indian Constitution. Sixth, the right to constitutional remedies. This allows the citizens to move the court if they believe that any of their fundamental rights have been violated by the state. Key features of the Indian Constitution. The fifth is the secularism. A secular state is one is which the state does not officially promote any one religious as the state religion, you now understand the ways in which a country's history often determines the key kind of the constitution that a country adopts for itself. The constitution plays a crucial role in laying out the ideals that we would like all citizens of the country to adhere to, including the representative that we elect to rule us. Just like in the game of football, a change of the constitutive rules will affect the game. Indian constitution has been amended over the years to reflect new concerns of the policy. Often a major change in the constitution means a change in the fundamental nature of the country. We saw this is the case of the Nepal and how it needs to adopt a new constitution after it has recently become a democratic society in 2006. Glossary: arbitrary, when the nothing affixed and it instead left to one's judgment of choice. This can be used to refer to rules that are or not fixed, or decisions that have no basis, etc. Ideal: a goal or the principle in its most excellent or the perfect form. Indian national movement: the Indian national movement emerged in the 19th century India and saw the thousands of the men and women coming together to fight British rule. This culminated in India's independence in 1947. You will learn about this in greater detail in your textbook this year. Polity: a society that has an organized political structure. India is a democratic polity and the sovereign. In the context of the chapter, it refers to an independent people, human trafficking, and the practice of the illegal buying and the selling of the different commodities across national borders. In the context of the fundamental rights discussed in this chapter, it refers to the illegal trade in the human beings, particularly women and children, tyranny, the cruel and the unjust use of power or authority. Okay, so that is the any question, please you can ask me question. Okay, comments.